Hey, shalom. I'm a little bit early to my own live stream. Shalom. Hey, Brian, my hermit life. And Paul Sanchez. Shalom, Lynn. Hey, just kind of gathering my thoughts and make sure I get this stuff correct so you can see me. Can you hear me? Can you all hear me okay? Yep. Whoop. Hard to do this without getting in front of the camera. Yep. Okay. Awesome. And Otis Driftwood. God bless you. Very well. Awesome. I'll just give, a few more minutes for a few more people to show up. And I've got to, hey, there's Mrs. Lovely Dudley. Shalom. How you doing? And there's J.A. Dudley. Shalom. Are either one of you interested in being moderators? Because I haven't noticed over the years that I've been doing this that my moderators have kind of reduced in number through attrition, and I'm getting short of moderators. So would you guys, okay, Mrs. Lovely Dudley, let me see if I can do that right now. Supposedly I can. Wait a minute, let me try again. No. We go, add moderator. Hopefully that worked. All right. Sister, you are, there's Smiling Mary and Lady Smith. Shalom. Those people grabbing the plane were so desperate that the world would risk death. Couldn't hold on with 600 miles an hour. I see you, sister and brother. See if I can. Bing. Okay, now you're one too. Awesome. That's exactly right. They were desperate. Now here's the thing. And I know I've made this argument, I think in one of the 2 videos I've done lately. Maybe on one of my comments on my channel. You've had a regime change. You're a Muslim. All Muslims are for being Muslim. Like Islam, that's their religion. They love Allah, etc., etc. So now you have a regime change. You went from one Muslim leader who was America back to another set of leaders who are Muslim too. Why are you panicking? Why are you like, oh, this is a bad thing. I need to escape my country. Why aren't you embracing them and saying, yes, Allah Akbar? I think that's a good question to ask. What do y'all think? Why are these, hey, Timothy Young, why are these Afghanis trying to flee their country when they have a new government in power? Hey, Sunny Sky, good evening. What do y'all think? I mean, I didn't particularly like some of the presidents that have been elected in the last 15 to 20 years, but I certainly was not climbing on an airplane knowing for a fact I would fall to my death because of it. Brian, my hermit life says, can't say what I think. Maybe because they supported the U.S. and the Taliban knows. Patty, that's a very intelligent answer. They know if they supported the U.S., who is the great Satan to them, whether they, whether we gave them tons of money and trained up their military and so on. A Muslim is first and foremost always a Muslim. And so once the U.S. is leaving, anyone who collaborated with them is probably going to get beheaded in the town square. And that's for a lot of wars. That's not just in a Muslim country. Like French collaborators with the Germans in World War II sometimes were shot in the town square. Sometimes the women had all their hair shorn and they were stripped naked and beaten in public. I mean, right? So siding with the enemy is one reason why these people could be leaving. But I'm going to tell you, living in a Muslim country, Sunny Sky says extreme persecution. Living in a Muslim country is, for a lot of people there, not like living in America. Hey, Hunter Kirk, shalom. especially for the women and the children, and especially the women in Afghanistan, because they were given virtually no education, no rights. They have a very low survivability, like their life survivability is like, I don't even remember, I don't want to lie, somewhere between 20 and 40 years old. You're only going to live that long and then you're going to die. They have virtually no amenities, no running water. Neither do I right now. No electricity. Like when you look at the videos of the war over there, excuse me, and the conditions of an everyday person. Hey, Aid, I'm going to make you a moderator if you don't mind, brother, because I'm running out. Let's see if I can make this happen. There we go. There you go. Bing! You've now been blessed, Aid. But if you look at the videos being filmed in Afghanistan of battles and all that other stuff, it's medieval living. They're living in these stone buildings with very little amenities. Hey, Sarah Hoskin, shalom. And so there's probably people fleeing the Taliban because they know, Babo, hi, they know that their life is not going to be like it was under the Americans. The Americans show up and they bring air conditioning and they bring their own homes and trailers and food and clothes and radios and all sorts of stuff. And all these Afghanis who have been living in this medieval culture are introduced to, different clothes and music and everything, and they don't want to go back. They don't want to go back. Hey, Lone Star Living, shalom. They don't want to go back under the medieval Taliban. The women, have to hide and be in burqas and get beaten if their ankle shows, and they can't be educated. And so I think at least part of the crowd are those guys. All right, let's see what Tribal Lady has to say. Shalom, Tribal Lady. 12, I saw a news report from Afghanistan where the representative started, they would not retaliate against anyone. They want to make their country strong and begin a fresh start. That would be the smart thing. That would be the smart thing, because the coalition forces who have now all, caved to the Taliban know a lot now. They've been working with Americans, for Americans, seeing our communication, see our organization, see, our way of life and how good it is. And they're going to socially have to mesh those two worlds. Their very strict Muslim world with this very modern American world they've been exposed to. They don't know hot water or toilets for that matter. Exactly. Hey, Scotty John, shalom. Let's see what else you guys are saying. John Moore did a great piece on Afghanistan. Awesome. I haven't seen it yet, but I've seen a lot of different coverage of military units and what happened to them there, and reports on our military over there and the women and what our military women were doing with the women there and that kind of thing. There's no way the Taliban will do that. Well, we'll see, right? They're not dumb. These guys are not dumb. And I want you to just kind of think about what we've been talking about right now and then enter this into your conversation. They have won now, Afghanistan, 2 gold medals in defeating superpowers. Right? Their Summer Olympics this summer was to beat their second world power militarily. And I know some people argued in the comments on my video, so, oh no, we beat them militarily, we definitely took care of business and whatever. To a certain extent, that's true. And yet, any territory we gained, they just gained back. So in a land war, doesn't matter what we did, when, what battle we won, we are withdrawn and we have lost. We have lost. And it's something Americans need to suck in and understand. We have been beaten. Our military, the #1 military on the planet, has been beaten by a medieval tribal society. No question. Barack Obama was going to pull us out. Trump was going to pull us out. Biden finally pulled us out. That's 3 presidents who were saying, yeah, we're going to get out of there. We're not going to stay. We're not going to do this thing. We've been beaten. And that has huge repercussions worldwide. Huge repercussions worldwide. And Americans have to understand what that means for you, for an American, for you, us as a country. Because one, and this is in the local news, not local, this is in the world news. We have lost, America as a country has lost all credibility in the world. Tons of nations out there are laughing at us. Nations that we interfered with, nations that we've assassinated their president and put another person in power there. We've sent arms and aid to their insurgents. We've, tried to influence their politics. And every single one of those countries is looking at us and laughing right now, including Russia. And Russia's laughing because Hillary Clinton and that whole election, and the Russians influenced it. And we find out that she fabricated all of that, and they were lying. Our politicians were lying about Russia the whole time. And Biden's over there with his son making deals with Ukraine. Putin is probably having such a huge party right now. And it's not just for that reason, because we backed the insurgency when Russia was still the protectorate, the state government for Afghanistan in the 80s. Afghanistan was still part of the United Socialist State Republic, whatever thing, USSR. And they started their little insurgency, these mujahideen, these, Muslim extremists, and we backed them. We trained them. Our CIA went over there and infiltrated and worked with the Afghanis against the Russians until Russia was militarily defeated and Russia went home. And that time, the Americans are laughing at Russia. Ha ha, look at that. Russia went into Afghanistan and got their, their stuff handed to them on a platter. Ha ha ha. Now the Russians get to go, aha, see, it happened to the Americans too. They thought they were all that. And the Afghanis defeated them. Now, y'all also made the point, and it's true. It's not necessarily that our military couldn't win that war. Our military could win that war. Our military could kick anyone's hiney on the whole planet right now and just mop the floor with them if the military people got to control the military action. And they do to a certain amount of extent, but like I said in my video, Congress and the commander-in-chief, the Senate, have the final say on military action, not the military. And so when political stuff comes into play, when you get things like Jane Fonda in the Vietnam War going over to North Vietnam and parading around and saying, oh, these communists aren't that bad, or for us here, the whole BLM election disaster last year, pandemic, our political will to win has been compromised. And so our Congress was telling our military, well, don't shoot at anybody unless you're shot at first. Don't engage the enemy unless the enemy engages you first. Well, I'm here to tell you, when you get in a fight, if you wait till that person hits you first, there's a very decent chance that person's going to knock you out and you're out of the fight already. It's not a good way to militarily engage anybody if you want to win, to let them strike first and to limit where you strike and how you strike. And our political elected officials did that with our military. And so they hamstrung them just like they did in Vietnam. And that's why we lost militarily. I mean, pound for pound, our fighting men are so much better quality. And yet, we've wasted them. We've wasted all that money. We've wasted millions and trillions of dollars fighting that war. That pastor and I said 20 years ago, this is just a stupid idea to go in there. Somebody made millions and trillions of dollars, military contractors, people like Eric Prince, and for the Desert Storm stuff, Donald Rumsfeld, and people like that made millions and trillions. Shalom, y'all. You had it right with the point he said, Timothy Young. Absolutely should have left after we got bin Laden, but we didn't. The egress should have been our people. Afghans were vetted, then close the embassy, then rebel assets, then military. Exactly right, Lynn Wilkerson. That's the way to do it. Didn't they defeat the British too? They sure did. That's also where a lot of opiates come from. China uses the opiates to undermine the U.S. We were beaten on many fronts. Thank you, Architectural Homeless Savage. And we'll get back to that. Shalom, Andy Vetter. Shalom. We will get back to that title in a minute. We could have militarily easily beaten Afghanistan, and it would have not even had required that many troops on the ground. We just could have carpet bombed the whole country, not even nuked it, and we could have done it. But politics, 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 and money, and money, the opiates. And all the military stuff. The embassy had to be built, $800 million for that, camps and the helicopters and everything, all that. So somebody made a bunch of money off of it. And so here's the point that my daughter made, which other people have made in comments on my videos. I could have used that money. I'd have loved to have gotten $800 million to build a building, or trillions of dollars to waste 20 years doing nothing effective. How many of you would love to have some of your debt paid off? How many of you had student debt that you would have loved to have that money to pay off? How many of you would have liked your mortgages paid off? How many of you would have liked a tax refund? For that much money, you could have gotten hundreds of thousands of dollars back. And guess what? All that money spent over there was your tax money. You paid the IRS, and the IRS put it into the government system, and the government system allotted that money to our military, and they went and spent it all. Right? What a waste. What a horrible waste. And all one had to do was look at history to know it was going to be a no-go. They wanted to create democracy after bin Laden, but for Afghan people being tribal, they had no idea what we were doing. And Taliban comes in and is exactly right. They are an Eastern mindset, an Eastern tribal mindset. The only people who have won against them are Sikh Indians. And they win, back in like 1100, there were battles back and forth. But in the end, nobody wants Afghanistan either. Even if you win it as a territory, hey, Italian Peace Garden, even if you win it as a territory, it's cold, stony, mountainous. Who would live in stuff like that, I wonder? Who would want to be on a stone mountain that is hot? But no one wants it. Now they found lithium there. Now it's got some value. And see, if like I said, the Taliban is not stupid. They've got some young leaders who are very dedicated, and they probably understand, hey, we have some assets now that we can sell, and we have a world market because the US is now out of the picture, and people like China and Russia are going to say, heck yes, we'd love to come mine lithium in your country, and we'll pay you a bunch of money to do it. Shoot, China will say, we'll pay a bunch of money to just start making all your flip-flops for you and set up a Chinese restaurant in every little town you have. You know what I'm saying? Because China has no beef against Afghanistan. China's not religious. They don't care. They don't care if the Afghanis are Muslim. They want money. And having lived in a Muslim country before, every business in the country where I live, every bank was run by the Chinese. Every single one. They are, when all you care about is money, they have no wish to fight. They don't care. They don't want to fight Afghanistan. They're just going to buy Afghanistan and all the power, right? That's what they're going to do. That's how they're going to do it. And China's about the long game. China's a civilization that's been around at least 7,000 years, and they've got all they need in their own country. They have tons of resources, and history and ethnic diversity and everything. Hey, Matthew, shalom. So China's going to win. We lost. Russia lost there. Afghanistan won. China's going to win. They got a 1,000-year plan. They got a 500-year plan. That's right. So I wanted to bring that up. Now, back to the title of the video. Afghanistan-new Superpower? Question mark. What do you all think? Have you watched my video with that title or very similar title in it? Hey, I am Hebrew. Shalom. Because it occurred to me, if you are a country and you have beaten 2 out of 3 superpowers in the world, doesn't that ergo make you a superpower? I mean, it doesn't matter that they as a country are, medieval. And it doesn't matter that they as a country are tribal. They have defeated Russia and America. The only other superpower they need to defeat to get the trifecta is China. And China's not going to bother. China don't care. So they don't even need to fight China. That, in my mind, on a certain level, that makes them a superpower. Because they are capable of defeating a superpower. Right? China doesn't... The Uyghurs in China, as long as they behave themselves, China is going to leave them alone. But if they start pushing this, that, and the other thing and not playing, it's a communist country. They have no feelings towards their people at all. They don't care. You just, right? You just do away with them. You just get rid of them. You slaughter the whole group and there's people to take their place. It's not a big deal. Right? They made the U.S. look really bad and weak. That's exactly the point. Win the fight, you get the belt and the title. That's exactly right. So that's the point I wanted to make. Now we look weak to the world. Really weak. And that's going to translate into things. Look at our vulnerability down south, right? We need to watch our back doors. We need to hunker down and settle in because we have just shown everybody that if you're a guy wearing pajamas and flip-flops and have an AK, you can defeat us. That's going to embolden people who want to defeat us. The cartels are going to be laughing at us. Our southern border is so porous, people are going to be crossing that thing and are right now, and will keep doing so, to come in and destabilize as they come. Texas is going to be destabilized, and they're fighting back hard. Arizona, Nevada, New Mexico, our southern border is going to get weaker and weaker, and it's going to cause the whole thing to start to collapse. And luckily, in a republic, each state can be strong, like Texas is being strong. Each state can decide for itself how they want to deal with what's going to be coming on the south. And already there are states that are sort of lining up to back up Texas, because each governor of each state has his own reservists and can say, okay, I'm sending the Tennessee Reserve down to Texas, or I'm sending not so much the National Guard, but sort of down there, or my state troopers or my rangers to help out another state. That's the beauty of a republic. Just as long as there's no insurrection against the federal government. So it's going to be really interesting. Oh yeah, that's another point I was going to make, JA, is the Taliban now has all this equipment that we have left there. And They have helicopters and they have tanks and they have armored personnel carriers and drones and medical equipment and logistic equipment and everything that we left, as well as everything the Russians had left. And they can make money for their country by selling it to places like China and Russia who want to reverse engineer it. Excuse me, or other places like Ukraine who will take it and fix it up and use it themselves and try to make, hey, mad pelt, shalom, shalom. And try to make deals with us to get parts and instruction and training and everything else. So we've left the Taliban a very easy way to make lots and lots of money, aside from the poppies. Yeah. And while we are weak, you better believe people are going to start nibbling at our borders. You better believe people are going to start nibbling at our country, because that's what the world does. When they see weakness. Now, China, with the long view, lets people do that. Just keep nibbling, because it's a big country and you got to come a long way to get to the middle of it. Same thing with Russia. Napoleon walking towards Moscow gets caught in the Russian winter and his whole army gets wiped out. Taiwan is next, this dirty roofer. Exactly right. But is America strong enough to keep the nibblers at bay? And what is our Fed gov going to do? Huh? I don't know. It's something hey, Frank, shalom. It's something you as an American should think about. Your country is not going to be the strong world power that it was. It just took a box right on the nose and it's going to hit the floor. The exit strategy was embarrassing. Exactly right. It could have been done so much better. And apparently our military said, no, let's exit from Bagram. Let's get everyone to go to Bagram so we avoid the Kabul mess, because Kabul was going to be a mess. Taliban's going to roll in there and you're going to have a bunch of people who they don't know what's going to happen and they're going to be milling around. And our government, our politicians, our State Department, because it was the State Department in charge of the withdrawal, who are not military people and don't know tactics and strategy. They're diplomats, made a bad choice. And they probably thought it would be the easiest thing for them because they're in Kabul. That's where the embassy is. So, yeah, the exit strategy could have gone a lot better if the military had been listened to. But, yeah. Hey, we are fried. Shalom. Fajaling. Shalom. That's what I meant. Kamala isn't watching the border very good. No, she's not. And she's supposed to be. And she's not doing her job. Who's watching the border is the Border Patrol and the Texas, all their forces. They got more than one, Texas Rangers and Texas State Police and Texas security people and so on. That's who's watching that border. And they're overwhelmed. They're overwhelmed. So, another point I wanted to make about Afghanistan being a new superpower is because you very seldom see a Muslim country militarily whooping up on somebody else, and especially not a power, right? Now, they may be a power like Qatar or Saudi Arabia because they have oil and they got lots of money. That makes them a power player. But normally it's not because their military went out and walloped some other military. And now you've got a new hero on the Muslim, horizon. You've got a new champion in these Afghanis. How do you think the other Muslim countries are going to look at Afghanistan right now? Right? You got someplace like Yemen or Oman, or there's so many smaller. Jordan. Oh, hang on. I'm in the middle of my live. Yeah, sorry. Isn't it just the way that when you're doing a live stream, you're going to have a phone call? Do not disturb. Put it on Sister K. Where would that be? Where can I do not disturb? I didn't know I could do that. No, can't do that. Okay. So how do you think that, hey, Suze, what's up? The Muslims are looking at Afghanistan right now? Because I think they're looking at them like, yeah, we win. Swipe down and press the moon. Okay. I think I see it. Is that it right there? Nope, that's not it. Okay. Press the moon on your phone. Swipe down this. Your text sounds like a power drill. Sorry, you guys. It's ridiculous, isn't it? Of course, in the middle of a live stream. Nope, I don't want to do that either. Now I've got this stupid thing here. Get away. Ah! That's not working either. And now I've got this ridiculous window in my thing. J8. You can't have me do anything technological because I'm ignorant. There we go. See if I can do that. Out of tooth pulled. That's I bet you are whipped. Oh, that's gonna do it? No. Here. Hat. Well, we can do that. Wait a minute. Oh. It's ridiculous. There. Oh my gosh. Okay. I think if I swipe like you said, that it's gonna erase the live chat. So I don't want to do that either. Okay. All right. So we were talking about the Afghanis becoming heroes to other Muslim nations. And I think they will rally around them. I think that all the young militant Muslims are going to want to go to Afghanistan. Not because it's, a resort place to go, but because they want to train. They want to find out how the Afghanis beat the Americans, and they want to be taught. They want to be taught exactly how that worked, so they can bolster up the security in their own countries. And when it's time to start attacking, should they decide they want to bring the, what do they call it when they're in a war? Oh man, I can't remember. What is that called? Are you guys still there? Can you all still hear me? I see 43 of you and I see the time clock clicking, but I don't see any comments. And I see 32 thumbs up. Are you guys still there? Can somebody text or comment or something real quick? Why does this happen every single time? Can somebody comment? All right, that's not working. Let's go back to that. Let's go back there. There you are. All right, 5 by 5. Sorry, I went to live chat or super chat or something in it. Okay, so you're saying, there you go. There's Casa de Marie. Yeah. Okay, there you go. I couldn't see any of your comments, so I was stuck somewhere else. Good. All right. I think all these young militants are going to want to go train with the Afghanis. And I think if a caliphate were to arise, thanks, Betsy Ross. Hey, Jim Oderman. Thank you. I think they're going to look to the Afghanis to start the caliphate. I think they thought the Jordanians, that's it, Lynn, that's right, jihad. I think they thought the Jordanians might be the center, but I think the Afghanis have shown that they are the strong military Muslims and they're effective. And so I think you're going to get an influx of Muslims, the extreme ones, just pouring into Afghanistan, which will help it modernize. Because if you get people coming from like Saudi Arabia and other oil-rich countries like Qatar and the Arab Emirate and whatever, they're going to bring money and they're going to want. Oh, great. Wonder what Turkey is doing. Oh, that's an excellent, excellent comment. They're going to want all their amenities there. And they're going to want to hire or bring with them servants to build, the nicer apartments and get car dealerships that'll, Mercedes and everything. And I think Afghanistan's going to modernize that way. I'm more concerned about them coming here. I wouldn't think they'd want to come here initially. One, it's probably going to be hard for them to get visas and all that stuff. Unless they go to Mexico and then come across the border. I think initially, because they're victorious, they're going to party. They're going to, stand around and chant and shoot AKs into the air and dance and topple statues and, burn helicopters and all sorts of stuff. And I think they're going to be jubilant for a while. And after that, with the influx of money and other Muslims, then I think they will start to plan, and they will start to look at what they've learned and the equipment they now have and how they can use it effectively, and then they'll start a jihad again. And I think the caliphate will center right there. And I'm more than willing to listen to what y'all think about that, because I've been talking now for almost 40 minutes. What do you all think? There's Keith Kronk. Hello. Servants, slaves. That's right. Yep. U.S. will accept massive refugees with embedded militants. That's an excellent guess. They've had press conferences saying they have not confirmed burqas, but they will let women teach Sharia law, and probably have women teach Sharia law to other women. I'm curious what Turkey is doing in the midst of this. I am too. That's really good. Yes to the training camps. No, they won't start the jihad, at least not initially. This is not popular thought on this, but I was disgusted this past weekend when the MSN jumped on the bandwagon to debase Biden. Has me thinking we're missing something. Biden was going to get a lot of flack simply because he's the guy caught holding that last bag. Like I said, 3 other presidents were saying they were going to get us out of Afghanistan, but it happened to fall in his lap that the actual troop withdrawals and everything were finally coming to fruition. Sharia lawless shield training camp. Well, we'll certainly see. It could, but I'm telling you, the Taliban guys, the leadership is not dumb. They held it together, fighting us for 20 straight years. They're not just about to blow everything they gained. Maybe my tinfoil hat is too tight, but I feel like this is only the beginning of ugly stuff. We are lined up to accept tens to hundreds of thousands of refugees. How do we know they won't be embedded? Of course they're going to be embedded. But why would we line up for anything like that? Why? They don't need to come here. We don't need Muslim country refugees in America. There's plenty of other Muslim countries they can go to with lots of money. And I've mentioned a couple of them right now. There is no reason to bring them here, none whatsoever. So if you're on some board or your city council says, oh yeah, we want to bring refugees, go to a meeting and tell them no. I've heard the Catholic Church brings them over. If you're in a Catholic church and they're saying, oh yeah, we got to help out these poor Muslims. No, we don't. The Christian church doesn't need to help them out. They're not Christian. Right? So there's no reason for us to extend anything to people we were just fighting for 20 years. It just makes no sense. And exactly, Sharia law is not good for anyone. Arguably, the Muslims like it and they want it. Fine, let them have it. But it's not for everyone. I'll tell you this much, the Chinese won't want it. Hey, Wes. Catholic is not a Christian. Let's not split hairs for jawing. I didn't want it to become a religious discussion. They believe Jesus is the Son of God. The Muslims don't. So There were reports that military planes landed in Oklahoma today with Afghan interpreters and their families. And that's entirely possible, JA, because the interpreters would be at risk. Now, if you're a really good spy, you be an interpreter, knowing full well you're going to be given asylum. Then you get planted in your country and you begin to spy for your old country. And I'm certainly not saying that Afghanis aren't that smart. Afghanis could be that smart and loyal that they would allow that to happen. But I also think enough interpreters saw how Americans do things, how effective it was, what life is like for us here and everything else. And they probably got convinced I'm way better off being in America than in Afghanistan, especially if the Taliban is going to lop my head off. So it's possible. I mean, the Hmong that are in our area are people who fought for us in Vietnam War. Sometimes we help out our allies, and sometimes we hang them out to dry like we did with the Kurds. So it's possible. What is Turkey doing right now? Great question. They're in NATO, but they're Muslim. Gotta go come fit some chicken. Okay, Madkill, enjoy. Good seeing you, brother. Turkey could consolidate power too. Turkey could say, hey, brethren, let's have a big conference in our country and let's get together and start talking about what we could do. That's possible. There are so many Islamic tribes that don't get along. They don't get along while they're left by themselves, but when you give them an enemy, hey, Church of the Harvest, Shalom, when you give them an enemy to unite against, they will all become brothers again. And usually they're either Sunni or Shia. That's usually where there's a divider. And then sometimes they're willing to fight each other. But if they have to unite against the common enemy, they do. Okay, so I've talked about that. I've talked about that. Russia and China. I've talked about the caliphate. That they're a new superpower, that they've gotten 2 gold medals in defeating world powers. And I've talked about how weak we look, right? How weak America looks and how vulnerable we're going to be. And what's that mean for the rest of us believers, right? That's a really good question, and one I'm not sure I have an answer for. I know more and more people are saying, hey, Grandma Ginger's farm, and greetings from Lead Hill. Hey, Chris Robertson, shalom. People are saying Revelation is unfolding in front of our eyes. They're saying this is a sign of the end times. I will tell you this, Lynn, because it's too big and it's too corrupt. Remember when I did a video on pandemics and after effects of pandemics? That sticks his head up and gets bonked. Right? So that's it. I'm going to end the live stream there because it's been interrupted many times. We're having issues with the hookup and I don't want to drag it out anymore. So I'm just going to say good night and shalom to y'all. Questions, comments after the video, I would take them all, and I thank you all for coming and participating. And bless you all, and shalom.